If you're listening to that and you haven't done that yet, you better do it quickly. That is the only way to be successful.
If you're using a national pricing guide, or you're using 500 an hour because that's what someone told you, or you build a margin and it's at 60 because that's what you were told from your best practice group, whatever your best practice group are telling you, you're working forward. You need to work backwards to the solution. Every week we're here to give you nuggets, golden nuggets, if you will, to help you run your business better. And it's very important that you like and subscribe so we can build this channel and we can help everyone in this industry as much as possible. So thanks again for watching. You know how you have national pricing guides, right? You have all the different price books and you have all the best practices, and they all say you should have certain pricing, blah, blah, blah. Get a price book. It's already pre-done, blah, blah, blah. Well, I agree to that about 0% because every business is unique and you have unique circumstances. You have different payroll, you have different sales ability, you have different revenue per truck, different revenue per employee. All that stuff matters. You can't have one price does it all. And then all we do when we get these price books is we just discount down until we can sell it, because the price books are just overinflated. They tell you got to be at 500 an hour, blah, blah, blah. And everybody does all that. And then all they do is discount to get the sale. And then they wonder why their books are in negative and they're not making any money. And so what the Delta focus is we're focusing on the difference between the gross profit and the operating expense. And so my guys are tasked to hit a certain delta throughout the month, right? They need to know that my margin delta between those two parameters, gross profit and operating expense, has to be 15% minimum. And therefore, we can optimize our pricing to make sure we hit those numbers. And then we're not at a 60 gross margin and we get our financials and it's a 46. What happened to the 14 points, right? Like, what happened in the process? What did we calculated everything that we could calculate, right? We calculated everybody going to this job. We calculated how much it cost to buy the equipment. We calculated what the salesman commission was. We calculated all this stuff. And we got this number, and we didn't come anywhere close to hitting it. And so what this Delta focus allows them to do is it allows them to focus on not the revenue, which everybody's so dadgum involved in, but to focus on the process to find out why we lost that gap. Why did we go in at 60 gross margin and end up at 40 something? Why did we go in at 55 and end up at 35? And no one's ever really focusing on that. And that is what I help my guys do at all times. And this is what I want to teach our listeners to do, is this Delta focus. So this is you're a mathematician, right? You're an accountant. So let's just look at it like this. Most people think that going from an 80% to a 90% margin, all right, I know we don't deal in 80 and 90% margins, but I'm using this as an example, is a 10% improvement, or 12.5% if you're really good at math, right? We know how to.
12.5%. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. All right. Good boy. Okay. So, but neither are exactly right in this point. It's actually 100% efficiency gain. And this is why I talk about efficiency. Yes, sir. Because when I talk efficiency, people use it as a buzzword. And of course, I created the buzzword 2 years ago, and it's gotten overused now. But no one actually know what it means. You know, all the best practice groups, oh, we got to do efficiency. But they don't even know what they're talking about or what I'm even talking about. And the efficiency is, it's knowing these numbers. It's knowing the increments. It's knowing what's actually happening. Numbers matter. So you would think that going from 80 to 90 was a 12.5% improvement, but how is it possible that is a 100% improvement in efficiency?
Talking going from 80 to 90 gross margin, right? So
Yes.
it's a 12.5% improvement in gross margin that will result in affect? I mean, it depends on what your current net
Yeah, it
profit
doesn't matter
is.
if you're going from 50 to 60. It doesn't matter. It's 12.5%, right?
Yeah. So I mean, and if you're sitting at 12.5% net profit, the 12.5% gross profit margin improvement should theoretically put you at, you should double your profitability.
All right. So now I'm going to give you the math. So if you're at an 80% margin, that means you spent $20 to make 100, right?
80% gross margin.
Gross margin, right? If you're at a 90, you spent $10 to make 100. There's where the 100% is, right? You went from 10 to 20, or from 20 to 10. Okay. Now, that means your cost per sale is half of what it was. And I'm going to show you why this matters. So you have two businesses making $1 million. Okay. One at 80, they spend $200K on cost. One at 90, they spend $100K. Same revenue, but the 90% business has an extra $100K to reinvest in for growth or whatever, right? Or better yet, this compounds over time, right? The more you do it, the more it compounds. Now then, to put this in perspective, to take a business from 80 to 90% gross margins, from 80 gross margins to 90 gross margins through price increases alone, right? Remember we talk about all contractors have ever done is two levers: increase price or beat your
Suppliers
your
up.
vendors, beat your suppliers up, right? All right. So to put this in perspective, to take a business from 80 gross margin to 90 or 50 to a 60, doesn't matter, through price increases alone, you'd have to double your price to get that same efficiency that you would do if you just improve the margin. You would have to double the sales price to get the same $100,000. And that's impossible, right? But yet that's the only two levers we pull.
Yeah.
It's impossible. You can't do it. And so that is where what efficiency is in a nutshell, is focusing and obsessing over the gross profit. You have to obsess over it, and then you have to obsess over the delta focus.
So Billy Go, you've had Billy Go for a handful of years now, right? At least 3 years. Do you have data on your efficiency scores from the last 3 years? Like, I assume
Yes, sir.
the efficiency continues to get tighter, right?
It gets tighter. Yes, sir.
Okay. So what kind of increase have you seen in your efficiency?
So from a margin perspective, about 4 points. But growth has been growth has been 100% in that 3-year period.
So you've got an already efficient business squeezing. So that's what these incremental improvements in productivity and in, performance of the workforce, right? Like just small incremental improvements, like yield
Big
such
results.
a high return. I mean, just such a high return.
That's right.
And to become a master of this is about the most essential thing. We were on our weekly call this morning, and we were getting into the budgeting aspect. And this is the time of the year that you should be. Oh, sorry, I've got construction going on. If you hear some noises behind me, this is the time of year that you should really be dialing in and fine tuning your budget for next year. If you haven't done that, you only got a handful of days left to really, start the new year off right. So this is the time of year you should have it dialed in. And everybody always kind of says they have one, or they kind of got a loose budget. And I will tell you, the difference between a successful business and a massively successful business is somebody that takes the time to really master their numbers and understand what goes into putting together a comprehensive budget, and then building something that, there's going to be some ebbs and flows that will change, but you live and die by that budget.
Yes.
And why is that so important? I like to think, and we've talked about this, that like there's only two kind of stages in a business. You're either growing or you're dying. And there's no stagnant. The stagnant is I've been at the same spot for the last 3 or 4 years, and just not getting any traction. That means you're slowly dying. It does not mean you're growing. That doesn't look for a hopeful, bright picture for you.
So, I mean, I'm going to make a big, long show about this. I think I want to direct everyone back to that Delta Ops video. And if you have time, I'm not asking you to just watch it. I'm asking you to watch it until you understand it over and over again, until you understand it.
I'm not going to say that this is an easy concept to understand. We try to make it as easy as possible. We try to, I've learned that it's best when trying to explain something complicated, try and speak in a third grade manner. And I'm not always good at that, but it is absolutely like watch it 15 times if you have to watch it.
Yes.
So you start to really understand, and not just understand it, but internalize it, own it.
I think between all the videos we've done and he's cut up and all, cut into shorter videos and all that, there's a couple hundred videos that he's created, and of all of those, they all have some really good value and good points and get you thinking about things.
A lot of smart stuff. I have to
absolute smart stuff. The host on this program is just unbelievably smart, right? The brain power, the brain trust is just crazy. I get it. Okay, I get it.
I mean, I'm sure all the listeners are like, what is it like to get to talk to Landon every week?
Yeah.
Oh boy, just went off the rails.
If the customers if everybody listening just knew how I was not even going to do this one because I didn't want to see Landon today. I had too much to do. But I did show up. I made it. But yeah, I mean, go back and watch that one. And then I want you to, watch what we talked about today. It's just a different way of explaining what we explained in the last video. I want to thank everybody for listening today. Like and subscribe. Thank y'all.
Like and subscribe. See you guys.
Bye.
No BS with Billy and Landon is produced and delivered to you by Sarah Systems. At Sarah Systems, we've created a better way to run your home service business and unlock unprecedented growth. Our field service software was designed by real home service professionals to help you save steps, charge for previously unbillable time, and win more business. But the true change requires more than software. Our live coaching helps you understand and control the aspects of your business that matter most. It's about time for a new era of service, and we're leading the way. If you're ready to join the hundreds of other contractors who've been able to increase profit margins more than 50% within 6 months, visit Sarah.tech today. That's Sarah, SERA.tech today.